In this video, we are going to look at the semi-final tactics in the Skilling Open. Now, you may be watching this video a week once the tournament is finished, maybe a month, maybe a year into the future. However, this is going to be a tactics video, so the tactics you see here will be useful to you anyway, to improve your tactics. One of the semi-finals in the Skilling Open was Magnus Carlsen against Ian Nepomniachtchi. Carlsen is the world number 1, Ian Nepomniachtchi is the Russian number 1. I believe he is in the top 5, top 10 players in the world. Now, before we find out what the tactical move is, let's assess this position and then we will go to the key tactical moment. A nice way we're going to assess this position is look at every piece. Now, the first thing we're going to do is look at the pawn structure because this will give the layout for the game. First, let's look at White's pawn structure. Now, White has a lot of space in the center. I would say the focus is really these 3 pawns, controlling a lot of space in the center. Now, let's compare the placement of the queens. White has a queen here, very well placed. It is Black's move, but White is attacking the knight. Maybe the queen can go to c7 or to b8 to protect the knight. Maybe even Black can play f6. Now we compare the minor pieces. Notice White has a bishop, but Black has a knight. Now this bishop is controlling so many light squares, but this knight can be very well placed in the center. However, it looks like White might be able to kick this knight away. Now let's look at the kings. There's a king on c1, a king on g8, and I would say Black's king is safer. The fact that there's a king and queen on the same line, maybe a rook can go here in the future, but it looks unlikely because there's still a bishop here, controlling this wonderful diagonal. And the rooks, well, we've got 2 rooks each. I would say White's rook is better placed because this rook is on the d file. It's facing the queen, whereas the other rooks haven't actually done anything. Now that we've assessed the position, let's go to the key tactical moment. Queen c3 has just been played, and Black now defended the knight. Before, I showed you 3 ways to defend it. f6, queen here, queen here. Now, a good move is to play queen c7. Then maybe Black can get a rook in the game. However, Ian played queen b8, leading to a key tactical moment. Now, the first thing to notice is the knight might look a bit trapped with f4. So, let's play f4, and here Black actually has a wonderful tactical move, because the knight isn't actually trapped. This knight can't go here because of the bishop, but maybe it can go to another wonderful square where through a tactic is actually safe. So pause the video if you want to have a go, or 5 seconds, or now run. Can you find it? This was my first question when queen b8 was played, because it looks like the knight is trapped, but Ian, he is a top player. There must be a reason, and there is a reason. That's why he put the queen on b8. It's actually attacking that pawn. Knight g4 is a brilliant move. Now this just looks like it chucks a knight and you're down a piece, but the queen now comes into the action. Queen takes f4 check. It's attacking the king and the bishop. So this is called a double attack, a fork. The king has to move, or you can block, doesn't matter. You deal with the king situation and then you can take the bishop. Or you could have blocked with the queen and then you take the bishop. And here White is losing. White is down a pawn and has the weaker king. For example, Black can take now and then put a rook facing the king. So that's what Ian had in mind, but Carlsen had another move in mind. And it is about blocking the diagonal. So see if you can see it. The idea is to block this diagonal, and Carlsen played d6. Wow. This queen can no longer go to f4. In the game, you take, and then after f4, that's the point. The knight drops. The problem is, if you don't take this pawn, White is going to take. Also, this queen is going to take the knight. So d6 is just winning on the spot. What a move, f4. Let's continue, because Carlsen later shows off a little bit with a few cool tactics as well at the end. Even though he's a piece up, there's still tactics to show. Rook e8, rook e1. Because the knight is trapped, Carlsen just gets his rook in the center. a5, king b1. Just getting the king a little bit safer. a4, now he takes, take, f4, gaining space, rook c5, queen right into the Black position. the king really isn't that safe because a queen is so good on the dark squares around the king. Because black doesn't have a bishop there. Queen f6, a3, b3, rook h5, rook takes d6. A cool move. He doesn't even save the bishop, he just goes rook takes d6. Queen e8 was played in the game, attacking e4, but the point is after rook takes h3, there's a really cool move here for white. But I won't go into it because it will spoil the next tactic. It's actually the same move. So rook takes d6, queen e8, good move. Planning queen takes e4 check if the rook moved. Also, black still has the eye on the bishop. So now's a chance to pause the video. Can you find a really cool tactical move where white is now going to get the queen, rook, and rook checkmating the king? The idea is to actually block this path. The queen attacking the pawn. And Carlsen, I think he's just showing off a little bit, but why not? Because you're just basing it on a tactic that works. He's cutting off the path and he's using the piece his opponent doesn't. So he plays bishop e6. Now firstly, that just looks like a terrible blunder because you've just chucked the bishop. No, the point is queen cannot attack the pawn, so Carlsen now plays rook d1. Doubling rooks on a file is so dangerous, and the point is you're going to come into d8 and you're going to win the queen. This rook is just on the side, doing nothing. So after rook d1, black resigned. So black played a move, let's say rook takes h2, rook d8 will win the queen, take. And that's it. You can throw in a few spite checks. Really, these are checks that do nothing. You're going to lose your queen. And with that, the game is over.